Hey everyone, welcome back to
The Fire You Can't Put Out.
Yay! Hey, this is show number 12. We hop over double digit a couple shows ago, but we didn't mention that, didn't we?
The Dirty Dozen.
All right. So before I say anything, so we once again have Leo from Liberal Spokane with us.
Hello.
Hey Leo, what up?
Hey, man.
Yay! So now our listeners probably know we do this show by Skype. So whenever you have 4 people on the Skype line, things can go kind of crazy. So if you hear any audio anomalies, bear with us, okay? So, hopefully everything will be fine. Because I have been, I signed up for Skype Premium recently, and I have been having a lot of problems. I mean, it should work, but because of network, because of Skype, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it doesn't work as perfectly as I wanted to. So anyway, let's get the housekeeping stuff out of the way. We have a Facebook page once again. Our Facebook page address is www.facebook.com/TFYCPO, which stands for
The Fire You Can't Put Out.
Thank you, sir.
Oh.
And while you're on Facebook, check out Liberal Spokane. Liberal Spokane's a Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and search for Liberal Spokane. It's right there. And again, we have a email address. Email address is TFYCPO, which stands for
The Fire You Can't Put Out.
Okay, pretty damn good on this. So TFYCPO at gmail.com. And talk to us. And any criticism, hate mail, go ahead. Hate mail, address it to Melvin, okay?
Yeah, that's right. Put my name at the top.
And you can also subscribe to our show on iTunes. Just go to the Facebook page. Actually, you can find everything. But if you're on iTunes Store, go ahead and you can search "The Fire You Can't Put Out," and we'll be right there. So it's a really wonderful way to subscribe to our podcast. And if you set everything download to your iPods or whatever, it's going to be right there. So anyway, some breaking news today, brand new. I've been watching the news. Half of the day about this. It's we finally have a new pope, and it turns out that everybody know who the new pope is, right? Francis the First.
Francis the First, right?
And
from Argentina.
Right. So
They're saying it's just going to be Francis since there's nobody after him.
Right.
It's
Right.
just Francis.
Is this no Francis the
It's
First?
just Francis.
Okay,
Right.
So
I've got some interesting papal history. I heard this today because obviously there's no set time for when they have to choose a pope. So the shortest amount of time it's taken to choose a pope was 3 hours.
Wow.
The longest amount of time, and it takes a 2/3 majority of votes to bring in a new pope. The longest it's taken to pick a new pope, 2.5 years.
Whoa.
So this. And like I said, there's no set time, so this could have gone on for a long time. And I think it's been, maybe 2 weeks since the last guy went ahead and stepped down. Right. Which, by the way, I think that may be the way popes start doing it from now on. I think he set a precedent when he did that, because it was kind of unheard of before that. It had been like 600 years since the last time it happened.
Well, first of all, it's Pope Francis. He was the Cardinal Jorge Mario Bergoglio of
Yes.
Buenos Aires. So it's
Nice.
from Argentina. Here's the thing too. It's the picking of the Pope, the whole event is kind of dreamy to me. I don't know about you guys, but you know about the different smoke, right?
Right.
So
Right.
the conclave, if they haven't picked a Pope, it's still going on. We haven't had one yet. Black smoke would come out of the chimney.
That's pollution.
Right.
And wow, I'm
That's
sure.
just nasty.
But if they like today, right? Because every night before they adjourned, right, they do the smoke thing. So there will be
Right.
people
Right.
like waiting, like thousands and thousands of people waiting in the square, right?
Well, when they picked
Right.
Pope John
Benedict.
Paul,
Jean
I
Paul.
think there were several. I was alive then. There were several ballots, I believe. Leo, do you remember this?
Yeah.
Okay, because there were several days where there was black smoke. Oh, they haven't picked one yet.
Wow. So like today, right? So the thing that tipped me off to this is, of course, people on Facebook And
Yes.
also, there's an alert coming out of New York Times, right? When they have a decision, white smoke would come out. So I think they also mentioned that they hire a bunch of people to make sure that happens, because before technology, before the available of really reliable technology, sometimes that doesn't work. The chimney got jammed, or the smoke doesn't come out correctly. And I'm thinking all day, like, what if they decided to play a joke and you have purple smoke or something? And then everybody would be like, what? So any thoughts, anyone?
Well, it's interesting to me, and obviously I'm not a Catholic, but it's interesting to me to what degree that this story captures people's imagination. On my phone, I get news alerts from a few different news sites, and I set up all these news sites, and it's fine. I don't mind getting the alerts because the alerts are rare. It's only when it's a big story.
Right.
My phone almost melted down when they picked the Pope. And the radio show I was listening to, which was vastly more interesting than the Pope, they killed my damn radio show to bring me the sound of people cheering, which is great. I love the sound of people cheering, but after a minute, it's just the sound of people cheering. It's the radio. It's not television, So anyway, those are my selfish thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's, to me, I'm not a Catholic either, even though I went to Catholic school for years and years.
I didn't know that.
But in Hong Kong, it's a little bit weird because way back in the 50s, the government, it's a weird situation too, because the government actually is subsidizing religious school, because there just isn't enough schools in Hong Kong during the 50s. So my school is a Catholic school, but they do get government money, and they do have Bible lessons and stuff. So it's a little bit interesting, the situation. But they failed to turn me into Catholic. So it might not be working.
Obviously.
So well, right? But,
Well, the best story on this today is from Andy Borowitz.
Right. Go ahead.
Suggesting that white smoke. Oh, no, wait a minute. We were just burning documents. No.
Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, so the guy that they chose, obviously my largest problem, and I'm not at all surprised at who they picked. Not that I know too much about the man.
I am,
but my Facebook exploded from the equality community about him, because obviously he absolutely does not believe in it, and I really wish that church could move into the 21st century with respect to that, because quite honestly, there are things to rail against. Go ahead and rail against war. Go ahead and rail against poverty, but you can't rail against people and love, because I think it's I don't think it's anyway.
Well, I get what you're saying. I think because it's a worldwide church, you have a lot of conservative pockets of that church, and you end up trying to serve them. So you try and take a course that really isn't down the middle, but leans more to the right.
Well, I mean, it's like
I'm in a mainline church myself, okay, and that's why I'm bringing this up, because I'm an Episcopalian, and the Anglican Church worldwide wants to actually disassociate us from the communion, the Anglican Communion, because of the first, and now we have several gay bishops, right, in the Episcopal Church.
Well,
so
why I know that, because I used to be Episcopalian too.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
We can talk about that sometime.
Right. But Gene Robinson, this is back in 2003, I believe. And the funny thing is, I was at that convention.
My priest was at that convention. He was the priest in charge.
Yeah, it's in Minneapolis, I believe.
Yeah.
So I was actually there. So, well, any thoughts, Leo? Or you already did?
Well, it's an interesting choice, and he's got a lot of controversy surrounding himself, because he's been allied, I guess, with some efforts to put down some liberal movements in the Catholic Church in Argentina, where priests were actually involved in not really overthrowing the government, but in giving lip service to people who did.
Right. I saw that today too.
So it's interesting, and they're calling him possibly a reformer, and that's why he chose the name Francis.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting to see if it actually plays out that way.
And it's supposed to be a big thing that he's a Jesuit.
Right.
He's also very staunchly against any sort of birth control or establishing relations with LGBT people, those kinds of things.
So I guess like any religious or any organization, there are pockets of different persuasions within this big organizations. And I know Catholics who are very liberal. I know Catholics who are very much for gay rights, for same-sex marriage. But I also do know really conservative Catholics. I'm a little bit surprised because I thought they were going to pick somebody from North America. And I think this is kind of a long shot. Part of it is because when I'm watching NBC's coverage, before they actually announce who's the Pope, and after white smoke come out, and before they actually announce, right? There's an hour in between, and all they could talk about was the cardinal from New York and the cardinal from Boston, and maybe they mentioned the cardinal from Quebec.
Los Angeles?
No, I don't think Los Angeles, but Quebec, right? They never mentioned this guy. I'm sure NBC is surprised, and I'm surprised too. But my surprise is I thought they're not going to go this route, but they did, which I'm glad. But yes, let's not talk about the issue with homosexuality and same-sex marriage yet. I think this, in a way, is progress because they are willing to pick somebody from a corner of the globe that hasn't been picked before. That in itself is progress.
What I heard was it's progress. Go ahead,
Leo.
I was just going to say that is a step forward, and I think in a lot of ways it's an attempt to bring the church into the modern age.
Right.
From what I understand, this guy was like the runner-up when Benedict was chosen
last time.
Yeah.
And the other guy from Argentina.
The vote went so quickly this time as well.
Right. There is indeed another.
Well, there's another. There was another guy from Argentina,
right,
who was apparently one of the favorites as well. Right. That he's a Vatican insider, and I think the one thing that gives me a sense of hope, I guess, is that he's not a Vatican insider. This guy.
The trivia on this one is I searched today. I'm like, wow, maybe not, because they have been talking about, they have been having like European popes for the longest time, and it's just way before even you guys were born. Ha ha. But
Middle Ages.
But I actually checked. There were 3 African popes through the history of the church. But wow. we're going way back, and they're North Africans, So there were African popes, but South America, never. That's never. Latin America, this has never happened before. And now I hope, even though I'm not Catholic, I hope to see an Asian pope before the end, because there are a lot of Asians Catholic in say Philippines,
Yes, there are.
Anyway, any more thoughts on this one?
You said Scalia's a Catholic?
Yeah.
That's so weird because he's the devil.
And Clarence Thomas as well, also the devil.
Yeah.
He's one of the 4.
He's kind of a surprise. Scalia's an Italian, so come on, man.
Yeah, that would be right.
I'm the new Pope.
Well,
I kind of looked for the guy from Milano to get it.
But it will be interesting the next year to see what will come down because, yes, he is very conservative in terms of, at least in terms of homosexuality and gay rights.
But he is supposed to be less about the, shall I say, the riches and pomp and circumstance, and
right. He
a little bit more humble.
He lives in his own small apartment,
He's doing his own cooking and is taking public transportation.
Right.
I would like to see a pope that actually was someone like that.
Well, but now he has to probably ride in that Mercedes with the glass case.
Yeah, he doesn't have any choice now.
Automobile.
Right. What were you going to say, Leo?
I say he doesn't have any choice now.
He doesn't. Yeah, the Vatican Secret Service is going to be all over him. So, okay, let's move on to our regularly scheduled first topic. And it's pretty obvious I picked this topic because I want to talk a little bit about the World Baseball Classic, which is going on. I don't know. I mean, I keep hearing people who says nobody cares, but, they got a full house when Japan plays. Now, first of all, the first round, the qualifying round actually happened in last October and November. So this is like way back, and then they round it down to a certain amount of teams. And then the second round actually happened these few weeks. And they're having venues all over the world. They have people played in Japan and in Taiwan and in America and Puerto Rico, somewhere. And then now we're down to a few teams. We're down to Japan, the Netherlands, which is interesting because Netherlands, you wouldn't think of them as a baseball power.
I think of them as ice skating.
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
But most of the Netherlands, most of the team is from, the Caribbeans. The Antilles, is that Netherlands?
Oh, really?
Antilles, yeah. And
sure.
And it's coached by Hensley Millens, who is the batting coach for the Giants, my Giants, and he's from a Curacao, from the Caribbeans. So, and I think Team USA and Puerto Rico, and I think Puerto Rico just lost their game, so they're out. Italy. That's another surprise. Italy, you win like soccer, yeah. But Italy and Dominican Republic, so they're still duking it out. But yeah, so here's the thing. The thing that I really want to talk about is especially in one instance. Again, one of the players from my Giants, Sergio Romo, who's a pitcher. He was born in the United States. He is from Southern California, from Brawley. And Brawley is like around, it's really south. We're talking about like Salton Sea, the smelly lake or something. And he's from that area. But his parents are from Mexico. So he decided to play for Team Mexico. And I keep seeing people just, some people are okay. I'm fine with it. I think it's a beautiful thing. But there are a lot of people on the internet who is, one, not happy, two, being downright mean about it. So I just want to talk a little bit about this nationalism thing, because I for one, now I kind of have a mixed background too. I wasn't born here, so if you are saying that, do I, it's kind of a complicated thing, because do I love America? Yes. But do I love Hong Kong? Yes. And I'm also Chinese. So I also have a really hard to explain sentiment towards that end of the other end of the Pacific. So if you ask me, if I am a professional catcher and what team would I play for, I have to think about it, even though I love the U.S., right? So I think at some point, I think nationalism is good. We a sense of belonging is good, but it can go to crazy end like this one. If Sergio Romo thinks that he would pay tribute to his parents and decided to represent his parents' birthplace, I think that's totally fine. That's his choice, and doesn't mean he loves America any less. Just that for this instance, he would like to represent, some other country that is related to him. So how come everybody's so quiet?
Well, I'm giving you the lead in. Okay, no,
Go ahead.
Because I want to give you the lead in.
Now,
it's a good lead in.
Let me just declare my interest here. If I say my dream, really, okay, this is really stupid, so bear with me, right? So my team, so I'm pretty old. So, well, not as old as some of us, but,
Thanks, Kevin.
I'm way past the point that I'm like, well, I might want to, play, college baseball. Way past. But, so my crazy dream is I really want to start playing curling, like on ice, right?
Oh, really?
Because that seems to be something that, I saw people in the Olympics. They are of older age, but they're still doing it fine, right? So if I ever get to be good enough of a curler, and I'm going to play for one of the national team, hey, I'm playing for Team Hong Kong, okay?
There you go. All
right. It doesn't mean I hate America, okay?
So that'll be like the bobsled team from Jamaica.
Right.
So Team Mexico,
right,
played down in Arizona.
Right.
Who picks the venues for these? By the way, are they down there because the Diamondbacks are down there, or what's what?
No, they're down there because of the spring training fields. Okay.
It could be.
Okay. Steve played senior ball.
Here's the thing. I read an article a number of years ago in Time Magazine called "Blame Pedro," and what it was how Latinos have become the punching bag for the right, and in my opinion, with very little justice. See, what's happening in Congress an awful lot, just to give a brief history of this, is if it ships jobs overseas, the Republicans are for it. If it depresses wages here, the Republicans are for it. If it kills unions or the farm workers union, like what Reagan did when he gave amnesty to all the Latinos, the Republicans are all for it. So, but when people notice that the jobs are gone, or notice that there's an awful lot of brown people doing jobs, then the Republicans go, well, hey, they're here stealing all your jobs. So, they just kind of throw the Latinos as red meat. So obviously this happened down in Arizona with SB 1090, I think it was SB 1090 or 10, yeah, okay.
1070.
1070, thank you. And they can now pull you over for looking brown. That's it. Like
if
that's
you're
the
brown,
whole,
and they're going to ask you for your card.
And they said
Melvin,
it's not racist though. It's not racist. Well, no, they said
This led me. I have a son-in-law who's Canadian.
Yeah.
He's here on a worker's visa, right?
Right.
Okay. So he doesn't have American citizenship. He's maintained his Canadian citizenship. And I said to him when that law passed, okay, Jamie, let's go to Arizona. I want to see if somebody pulls you over. Because he's not dark. I mean, he's as white as I am, whiter than I am. And we knew, of course, that nobody would pull him over, but I just wanted to say, hey, you guys need to ask him for his green card. Come on. I want to see somebody ask him for his green card. I mean, prove to me this isn't racist.
They said they said they're only going to pull people over that look racist. Listen. I've been pulled over numerous times while driving a nice car, says Sergio Romo.
Yes.
The closer for the San Francisco Giants, as well as wearing the Mexican WBC outfit. Their first question is, what's your citizenship? The next question is this your car? As in, brown guy, did you steal this? And then
wait, hold on, Leo.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they're just going to say, yeah, you just jacked this car. It can't possibly be yours. Yeah. You don't fit the mold.
Right.
Then they'll ask, what do you do for a living? And in this one instance, Sergio says, and the guy was Mexican, just like me, that had just pulled me over. Like hey, if it's the law.
SB 1070 actually punishes cops if they don't pull them over. Right? You remember that?
Right. I love the sense of humor of Sergio because there's this picture. This picture goes around on the internet a lot, and it's him wearing a T-shirt that he wears around. It says, "I just look illegal."
Yeah. I love it.
Love the sense of humor.
He wore that. He wear that during the parade.
Really?
Giants won the parade.
When they won the World Series, he was wearing that while with the team.
I'm happy. So
there's nationalism and then there's racism. I have pointed out.
Yeah, I have 2 points actually, 2 more points to make. People like me, people like Sergio Romo. Here's one thing. Because let's be honest, I love baseball, but not the entire world actually plays and cares about baseball. You know, that baseball is being played in the U.S., in the Caribbean, in Central America, most of South America.
A lot of Asia.
Right, Asia. Well, not even. Actually, I would not really. Just Taiwan and Japan and Korea. And I'm so surprised they actually field the team in China because believe me, there is no baseball in China. There is none. Well, none as in relatively, right? Right. So, teams like the Netherlands, they have to, most of their players are from the Caribbean, like I said, I actually said that, right? Hensley Mullins is from Curaçao. And Italy, they have to, all the teams that are not traditionally baseball powers, and there are a lot of them, before in the primary round, Team Israel, a lot of players are from the U.S., like right now playing, by the way, Puerto Rico just pulled ahead 4-3, Italy. So Team Italy, a lot of players from the U.S. because they're still developing their baseball thing locally, right? So they don't have enough players who are at the competitive level. So a lot of players are from the U.S., which is totally fine. What other teams? There's from there's a Czech Republic team. There's a team from Great Britain, France, but a lot of those players are also from the U.S.
Can I read some statistics, Kevin?
Go ahead. Well, let me finish this point first.
Okay.
I have never heard anybody question the loyalty of some of these players.
No.
Well, because some of these players are simply because they're white. And people, and what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is a lot of times people like me, people like Sergio Romo, people like a lot of players, we have to do extra stuff to prove our loyalty for some reason. And in this case, Sergio Romo, why are you being so disloyal to the U.S. for playing for the Mexican team? That's not what it is at all. We have to do extra. We have to do more. We have to do go out of our way to prove our loyalty simply because of our skin color. And that's completely racism. Right. So anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
30% of the people playing Major League Baseball are Latino. Closer to 40% in the minor leagues. Yeah. Half of organized baseball spends its springs in the Phoenix, Arizona area. And because of that, both Romo and Estrada, who is also part of this story, have settled their families in Phoenix. In the off season, so they've settled their families there. Well, okay.
There's another.
How do you call this guy out for being,
Well, okay. Well, there's another reason why they live in Arizona. I think the state tax is lower.
Sure, but
myself, Angela, and I'm assuming Leo, because I have no idea what you look like. We benefit, I suppose you could say, for lack of a better word, from a thing called white privilege. Yes. And I don't really feel as though I benefit because when I see racism as rampant as ever, and this on the heels of the Supreme Court wanting to overturn the Voting Rights Act, which is really just there to protect minorities, to see how rampant racism is, how hate groups in America have increased something like 1,000% since Obama became president. Racism, I think, it never went away.
No,
it's institutionalized in America.
Hey, if I might say something.
Go ahead.
One of my favorite players of all time, Edgar Martinez, Puerto Rican. Yes. Okay? And his name escapes me now. That one of the little guys who cried when they lost the playoffs.
I don't.
One of my daughter's favorite players, but a lot of our baseball talent in this country is from Latino countries. Right. Is Latino players, and Kevin and Melvin. One of the things that came down today was you both apologized because this is a sports story.
Oh, yes.
I have to tell you, I am looking forward to the Mariners season. First day, opening day, is going to have my favorite pitcher of all time throwing out the ceremonial first pitch. Do you know who that is?
I don't. I don't watch American.
Jamie Moyer, guys.
Jaime Moyer.
Jamie Moyer.
Yeah.
Love the guy. Okay.
Well,
and
Well,
Kevin?
there's a tie in there too, because Sergio Romo is the same kind of a pitcher that Moyer is. He never had
I saw that.
fastball. He lives on his sliders and his breaking balls. His fastball is only 89 miles an hour.
well, but then again, the pitch that won the Giants the World Series is a fastball right down the middle.
Yeah,
Okay.
89 miles an
So,
hour.
well,
To
okay.
that, the rest of this, I will say,
Well,
Kevin,
yeah.
baseball is life.
baseball is awesome.
The
So-
rest is just details.
Right.
Well, I guess I'm the odd man out here. I used to go to Indian games when I lived in Spokane because I found them very, very fun, and I also got to be a part of Raining Money Night one time.
Sure.
But the sport that I watch is soccer.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's
The
the
Portland
anybody at all.
the,
Boy,
Port-
you're really out there.
the Portland Tree Murderers. Yes.
My daughter and I just went to a Timbers game 2 weeks ago. And we actually sat in the Timbers Army section. Most fun I've ever had in my life because the whole section, nobody sits down. You stand the whole 2 hours and just sing songs the whole time.
Well, okay. Well, let's go on to the next topic real quick.
right.
Before let me make one more point. Final one on this one. I think a lot of times, like everything else, I think nationalism, we have to think in terms of degree.
Yes.
If there's a war going on, yeah, I guess it's more serious, right? If America suddenly we're starting a war with somebody, well, I guess let's figure it out. But that can go to crazy end too. The Japanese internment thing. That back in World War II. But it go crazy. But for sports, can everybody just lighten up? It's just sports. It's just different teams. And
Well, the finer point, there's racism and there's nationalism. What's going on isn't nationalism; it's just racism.
right. Okay.
Flat out. Period. And we need.
Yeah. Let's go ahead,
we need
Leo.
to discern those.
Go ahead, Leo.
I said they're two completely different animals.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. I lived through the 60s and 70s and remember them, actually. I'm one of the few people who probably does remember them. But
I remember him too, Leo. That means we didn't experience them.
I did not.
But I had the look of being, counterculture sort of an individual.
Right.
So I experienced a little bit of that, what you could almost call racism, and actually a little bit of reverse racism, because I grew up in a neighborhood that was, probably 95, 98% Hispanic.
Right.
And I'm certainly not a guy who looks Hispanic. So I can certainly relate to a lot of what Romo and a lot of these people are going through here.
Wow.
Leo, do you have long hair?
Not any longer.
I'm sorry. When you mentioned coming out of that era, I just imagined that you had long hair or a black jacket on or something. I'm just. All right.
I still wear my boonie hat and my well, that was actually before the days before camo fatigues as well.
Right. It's an olive tribe.
Yep, it was all olive.
Yeah.
I wasn't even born until 1978, so I read about it in books.
Okay. Well, let's
right.
move on to the next topic, which is not a happy one. It's the. Gosh, I can't believe I need to say his
Is
name
it Eddie?
again.
Is it Eddie Munster?
No, yeah, it is.
Eddie
It is,
Munster.
let's talk about
Eddie Munster.
Let's talk a little bit about the Paul Ryan budget.
Let's talk about the Munster budget.
Go ahead, somebody take this one. I can't. Yeah.
So, as he does every year, he came out with the budget that he calls the path to prosperity, which he calls it every single year when it's really nothing more than austerity. It's as simple as this. Right. Grandma, you're going to eat cat food. Simple as that. As a lobbyist for the cat food industry.
If there's any.
Yeah. If you're lucky, you'll get cat food. Rich people, tax cuts. Poor people, go to hell. Right. It's the same plan every year. It's the plan that made him a rock star in the Republican Party. And I remember during the elections last year, during the campaign, as soon as it was clear that Romney was going to be the nominee, they said, okay, the Democrats, they got together in their little room and they said, how can we connect Romney to the Ryan budget? And when he picked Paul Ryan to be his running mate, they said, you know what? All we need is like a dirty piece of audio or something dumb that Romney said, and we've got the election in the bag. Enter the 47%. Which, by the way, I don't know if you guys heard that came out today.
Yeah. The guy went on an ad shows.
Yeah, I actually listened to that today. So anyway, it's essentially the same budget he pushes every year, and the point that Paul Ryan made before he was tapped last year to be the nominee was, look, the election is going to be about two things. Our plan, the Republican plan, which is essentially the Ryan plan because all the Republicans voted for it, I believe without exception, or Barack Obama's plan. So Barack Obama wins by a landslide. And they go, you know what? That didn't really happen. So here's our budget. Because quite honestly, and it seems like the less people that are for it, the more the Republicans are behind it. Like this whole background check thing. 91% of people want background checks, so 0 Republicans vote for it.
Right.
Anyone want to step in, or I can keep going.
I would love to say what he said in reference to his plans for health care.
Go ahead.
Here are his exact words.
If you must quote.
If I must.
Yes.
I must quote Eddie Munster.
Yeah.
This to us is something that we're not going to give up on, because we're not going to give up on destroying the healthcare system for the American people.
That's a
hell of a And they're calling it a slip, and I'm going, no, it's not a slip.
Yeah.
It's a slip, but it's a Freudian one. So it's exactly what he's thinking, right underneath the surface.
Right. I think we talked about it last time, right? This is not just. I mean, a lot of these things go really deep, as in food, food inspection, nuclear waste disposal, things that can just affect our daily lives, and it's not just, this is not, I mean, I hope people start paying attention if they're not already, because this is not just some political drama going on in, 5,000 miles away. This will come down on our heads.
Yeah, but he couldn't even defend this. He could not even defend this on Lawrence Kudlow's Business News show. Okay?
Yeah.
Here's his definition of his budget. A vision of what we'd like to see. And nothing more.
Right.
Again, he could not give a clear answer why. Go ahead, Leo.
It's the same empty binder that he's been presenting repeatedly over and over again.
Yeah.
Love that.
We're talking about Kudlow. Also, I believe it was this last week, he was on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace.
Right.
And he was, of course, a big part of the savings of this are going to be from defunding the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
Even Chris Wallace came right back at him and said, that's not going to happen. So, I mean, come on, dude. Why do you keep trying? You know that it's dead on arrival.
Well, here's the thing.
Leo, do you know how many times they've tried to repeal it now? You've got the number?
It's like 30 or 40.
34. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. It repeals the Affordable Care Act. It repeals Obamacare, but it doesn't repeal the taxes that Obamacare uses. So he goes ahead and he's going to go ahead and keep that money, but instead of using it to make people well, he gives more money to the Pentagon, so it's going to be used to kill people. He's insisted for years that his proposal would cut taxes for every American, but especially the wealthy, without adding a dime to the federal deficit.
Right.
But of course, the Tax Policy Center found that the plan would make up $4.8 trillion through the closure of tax loopholes. Failing at that, he would have no choice but to add to the deficit and raise taxes.
Right.
And so the Ryan response is, those are numbers. Those are facts. Those have no play here. Here's the thing. It turns Medicare into a voucher program. You know who collected Medicare? Ayn Rand.
Yes.
The guy he modeled his plan after.
Yeah.
The novel he bases his life on. She collected Medicare.
I mean, there's always on the other side, well, this is kind of general, but on the other side, there's always this layer of hypocrisy. It's like that CEO from is it Yahoo that says no more working from home.
Yeah.
And what's her name? Meyer.
She's a brand new mom, by the way.
Meyer. And guess what? She built herself a nursery right by her office.
Oh.
She can do that.
Yes.
But the rest of the workers, I'm sorry. Now this is from a go back to the Ryan budget. This is a This is an article from Washington Post. This is by E.J. Dion. And he said that, the Ryan budget imposed big reductions for food stamps, college tuition aid, child nutrition programs, and a slew of other programs that help the least among us. Yeah, every time something like this, every time something political happens with money, the people who needs the most help get screwed. Every time. Food stamp. That thing that Ronald Reagan perpetuated, as in, people, is that like people using food stamp to get lobsters?
The welfare queen traveling around in the Cadillac.
That thing is still happening. That thought is still around.
Yes.
It's
only gotten worse.
Right.
It's only gotten worse.
Right. I don't really understand this. It's not, food stamps, it's not a fun thing to get food stamps. nobody, well, there are always that percentage, right? But most of the people, at least I know, wouldn't think that's kind of a way to live, right?
I'm going to ask.
But if you're a lower ranking person in the military,
right,
you're qualified for food stamps.
Right.
Holy cow! Well, if you're a teacher in Seattle,
right,
you're qualified for food stamps.
A lot of people who work full time at Walmart, they survive on food stamps.
Almost all of them have food stamps.
Has anybody in this circle ever been on food stamps?
Yes.
I have not.
Yes.
When I was a student.
Right.
I was the entire time growing up because my mother never worked. It was simply her choice. And quite honestly, and I'm not looking for sympathy here, we starved. It's not a lot of money.
Right.
And we went to bed hungry a lot. So
my understanding is you get $10 a month or $20 a month.
No,
for
it's
produce.
Well,
for produce.
What it is so there were 4 kids and 1 adult. So I think we got about, and mind you, this is probably 20 years ago. We got probably $400 a month for food, and then we got $1,100 to cover rent. And the house the apartment that we lived in was about $11.10 a month. So we had to find some way to get $10. That usually meant pawning something. And then the $400 for food. There's 5 of us. And we're growing boys. It wouldn't last until the second week, and we would have to go down to the church and the food bank and do whatever it took to get through the rest of the month. So for Republicans to suggest that people are sitting at home watching flat screen TVs, playing video games, sitting on the internet, driving around in Cadillacs, and choosing to live that kind of lifestyle, I don't want to be a barbarian here, but I'd like to punch him in the nose.
Yes.
There have been a lot of people, mainly progressive and liberal sorts of politicians, who have taken it upon themselves to live on a food stamp budget, right, and they've all come out of it losing weight and saying that it's almost impossible to do.
But that's
it's crazy. The people that have tried to do that have found out exactly. And we don't have an economy based on a living wage.
Right. Well, but always a little bit skeptical about that kind of stuff, because these people know they have a safety net. At the end of the 6 weeks or whatever, they're going to go back to their lives.
Okay, but
people who are actually on food stamps, they don't have that.
But read Nickel and Dimed by Barbara Ehrenreich sometime.
Right.
Little literary moment here.
Right.
Okay. Because she actually leaves her job, leaves her usual and customary income, and tries to live on minimum wage, and writes about it. And yes, she's got a safety net. Right. There's no doubt about it. She's got a safety net. But it's amazing what she discovers.
Yeah. It's not a fun thing.
It's amazing.
It's not a fun thing to be poor.
There's another side note here, and I'm getting terribly personal, obviously. But my mother also had a drug problem, so there was more than one time where our food stamps were actually sold for cash so that she could get drugs. See, and there's no treatment programs really when you live in a place like the ghetto. And I grew up in ghettos my entire life. I didn't see what it was like to live in a neighborhood without crime or without shootings, where I could sleep through the night, pretty much until I moved in with my dad in Spokane when I was 15 years old, and he lived in a house. Holy hell, that blew my mind. Right. And that there wasn't crime going on outside, and that he wasn't addicted to dope. Living in poverty, it's a terrible feeling. And I don't know how anyone thinks that anyone would ever choose it. Well, once I got a taste of that lifestyle, I've never worked harder in my life.
This is kind of a tangent, but we'll try this on for size. I mean,
go ahead.
Remember Slumdog Millionaire? That show?
Yes.
Yes.
I some of the criticism about that movie and movies of that genre, is that the right word? That ilk is you're romanticizing poverty.
Yes.
Yes. Which is BS, because it's not. However you slice and dice it, it's not.
Poverty is ugly.
Well, it's not a fun thing to be poor. Now, it may be 100 years ago, where most of the people are deprived. Yeah, I guess there's a kind of a different story. But being poor is never fun, and especially now, especially at places that if you don't have a car, you're not going anywhere. You're not even going to get a job easily. That's kind of a problem, and
that's one of the things in this book I was mentioning.
Right. So
she talks about that. The fact that you have to have a car to go anywhere.
People are hungry. People are so deprived in our country. That's a collective failure.
Yes.
And what perpetuate that is politicians like Paul Ryan.
Yes.
That doesn't even, because they just have to please certain segment of their constituency, which I don't even know if I'm saying that right, because I don't know how many in his district, how many people are actually that super mega rich that is actually his. In truth, his geographic constituency. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He did not carry his town.
He's trying to do that to please the people who are not even in his district. Why do a majority vote for him? I don't know. I can't explain.
Well, because he says all the right things. Here's the thing: the disadvantaged have essentially been left with scraps, and Paul Ryan is coming for your scraps.
Right.
That's the way it shakes down for sure.
This is insane. So I hope.
It goes off in different directions too. This budget of his as well, because he keeps talking about the energy phases of it, and keeps talking about the funding for the Keystone Pipeline and creating 20,000 permanent jobs, when in reality it's only going to be 35.
Right.
And then he's talking about Solyndra going broke, and that we're wasting billions of dollars on grants for alternative energy companies. Well, the truth is that there are tens of thousands of jobs being created by these companies that were given a little bit of a kickstart with a little bit of government funding. Right. And so he wants to cut all that out as well. He continues to tout it.
I don't know if this has it's directly related to the Ryan budget, but the sequester.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I read this about the college tuition aid for military personnel. It's already being cut there.
Yes.
So gosh, this is bad. What were you going to say, Angela?
Well, I was going to just say a lot of what he and his colleagues go after is the need to balance the budget. Right. When in the last 60 years was the budget balanced? 5 times.
Yeah.
Okay. The last time by Bill Clinton. Okay. Well, and I saw somebody raise this question today. Why balance the budget? Okay. Think about this. Does anyone balance? Go ahead, Leo.
Patty Murray actually raised that point. She submitted a budget today, a Democratic budget, and she's saying that and Obama echoed what she said as well, that you don't need to balance the budget. What you need to do is to spur the economy. You need to decrease the amount of deficit spending, but that all in all, the budget never needs to be actually balanced.
We don't have to balance the budget. Government spending should always be counter-cyclical. If the economy's doing great, then government should back off. If the economy's not doing great, then that's where they need to step in. They go, well, no, leave it up to the free market. Actually, the free market is sitting on their hands. They have their money in the Caymans, and so that's why we have the collected effort called government. Government steps in.
Right.
Counter-cyclical.
Counter-cyclical.
Do any of you listening to this balance your budget every year? Think about this. Would you pay your mortgage or rent, buy a new car, repair a car, buy food, buy clothing if you balanced your budget every year?
Well, not just that.
Personal budget is not the same as a business budget.
No, it isn't.
Right.
100% or
But
180
it's a draw
degrees
a lesson
of
from
a
it.
government budget.
Wait, hold on. Leo, go ahead.
Go ahead, Leo. I'm sorry.
Well, a personal budget, you're going to try and balance because, you know, at some point you're going to run out of money. So you're going to at least try and keep the incoming and outgoing close, and hopefully put away a little bit of savings. It's completely different than a business budget, and it's 180 degrees diametrically opposed to what a government
budget. Because you have to spend.
Government is actually charged with looking out for the well-being of its citizens. That's a constitutional mandate.
Right. Go ahead, Melvin.
Well, right, and the larger point that I think all of you are making, and you're making it very eloquently, is to suggest that the government should balance its books every year, like our household balance their books, is suggesting that a country has the exact same goal as a household, and that doesn't make any sense.
No.
You know, I mean, it's a sovereign government. You know, we make our own money, you know, and we inject it into the, you know what, if we had a Republican president right now, it wouldn't matter if we were 30 or 40 or even $50 trillion in debt. The Republicans would still be spending like crazy. Right. The only reason
us to another war.
That's right. The only reason they give a crap is because there's a Democrat in there, and they know that if they cut spending, it's going to cause the economy to retract. And when they cause the economy to retract, they can go, don't look at us. It's the brown guy.
Well,
it's the brown guy.
Yeah, you know, I mean, all government tax and spend. That's how it is.
Spend liberals.
But you know what? On the other side, they tax, spend, and then lie about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Kevin and everyone else. Here's what they do. They get us involved in a war. They don't even put it on the books.
Right.
And let the brown guy put it on his books.
Right.
Yep.
They go, can you believe how much money he's spending?
Oh, my God.
I know. Really? Like, you give a crap now?
Right.
Yes.
You give a crap before? Now, wasn't it Dick Cheney who quoted Ronald Reagan when he said, deficits don't matter?
Yeah.
I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you how many times I heard that said.
Yeah, before he shot somebody in the face. Yeah.
Right before he shot his best friend in the face after getting drunk.
Ronald Reagan may have said that right before he raised taxes X number of times.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's. I hope the Democrats muscle up enough. What's the word I'm looking for? Cojones or something?
Yeah.
to really fight this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is garbage.
I hope they do too. I'm not counting on it at the moment.
This is garbage. So I hope, you know what, somebody in Wisconsin somebody do something, run against Paul Ryan, because
exactly. He needs to be primaried quickly.
Oh yeah. Well,
he does not even take his own town.
Candidate against him.
Hold on, Angela. What do you say?
He does not. Okay, if you listen to Tom Hartman on him,
yeah.
Tom Hartman after the election said he didn't even carry his own town. He didn't even carry his own block.
Interesting.
Where he lives.
How did he get elected?
How in the heck did he get in?
Well,
corporate money will do it every time.
Oh my gosh!
Right.
Nobody likes him. That's why he's there.
I mentioned Patty Murray's budget earlier.
Right.
Yes.
They actually today announced that they have enough votes to get it out of the budget committee in the Senate.
Yeah.
And so it will go to the floor. And every Democrat in the House, or in the Senate rather, is behind the bill. There are a couple independents in the Senate who are also backing it. And so there's a very good possibility that this actually could break the filibuster.
Yeah, I hope
And
so.
then they could not say as Boehner has been saying for how many days, that the Democrats don't have a plan, which they have several.
Well, but there's always
the Progressive Caucus submitted a budget last year that was immediately filibustered because it just made damn much sense.
Yeah. Well, but you can always count on the Republicans in the Senate and the sphere of their punditry to live in kind of a alternate universe.
You know what we need? We need some new blood in the Senate.
Yeah.
We need some new blood that comes in the form of a challenge to
you know what?
Mitch McConnell.
We'll get to that. We'll get to the.
Well, we need good news now.
We'll get to that. But first of all, let's talk about the good guys in the Senate.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about the independent senator from Vermont.
I love this man.
It's Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders.
I love this man.
He's America's senator, people.
He filed a constitutional amendment that will give power back to the people. Right. It contains 3 sections. Right. Section 1 states, whereas the right to vote in public elections belongs only to natural persons as citizens of the United States, so shall the ability to make contributions and expenditures to influence the outcomes of public elections belong only to natural persons in accordance with this article. Okay, gobbledygook. Right. In plain English, this section overturns Citizens United by barring any entity that doesn't have the right to vote from donating to campaigns. Duh. Yeah. Bernie, I love you.
Man, Citizen United is once again another one of these alternate universe kind of terms.
Citizens United gave corporations the right to act as people when it comes to funding elections.
Citizen United, it sounds like something real,
It's double speak. What is it?
Yeah. The petition, something out of 1984.
Yes. There's still a running petition over at Bernie's website, which is sanders.senate.gov. And I think there are over 300,000 signatures, which is good.
And we need to sign it, guys.
That's
Everybody
correct.
Sign
which is
my name's on it.
Good, which is good, but also very unacceptable because we have 307 million people in this country. And I know you're not all politically active, but this thing should have at least 1 million signatures so far. And I think it's right up around 300,000. So, hey, get on there and sign it. I signed it. She signed it. He signed it. Kevin, have you signed it?
I haven't yet.
Oh, so Kevin.
Send me a link.
The law we're fighting.
Sanders.senate.gov.
Okay.
You know what we're fighting? Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. Yeah. A decision that ruled money is speech and gave individuals the right to spend unlimited amounts of money, independent of candidates.
Well,
tell me, people on this panel with me doing this podcast, when was the last election that was not influenced by money? Come on, guys.
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter.
Right.
Carter?
Jimmy Carter. That was a completely publicly funded election.
Right. So, yeah.
And then we got Ronald Reagan.
Well, all things go to hell after that. Yeah.
There is a way to win elections by being a good guy because Bernie Sanders himself, by the way, doesn't even run ads in his district and wins every time he runs.
How do you not vote for Bernie Sanders? Come on.
Well, see, and that's the thing. He has a lot of red support too. Maybe it's because he's calling himself an independent. Maybe Democrats just start calling themselves independents.
Well, I mean, Bernie Sanders he's for gun rights. So I mean, that's probably one of the things that I won't agree with him.
You know what? He does have a high approval rating from the NRA, which is now considered an asset. And I think he might start drawing back on that because what was that seat that we just had a primary, and the Democrat that lost was the one that had the higher approval rating from the NRA.
Really?
That's a bad thing now.
It
was for Jesse Jackson's seat. Jesse Jackson.
Oh yeah, Jesse Jackson.
The primary, right? And the lady that won had like a 0 with the NRA. And the lady that lost, actually, there are videos of her on YouTube, like just gushing about how much she loves the Second Amendment. Wow. And those just went viral. and she lost, big time. And
I
so
get so excited about Bernie Sanders. I just think the guy has it together, and he has a really clear vision. And okay, this whole thing about the NRA, he's NRA friendly. Gabby Giffords and her husband are members of the NRA. They are gun rights people. Right. In fact, there's a whole, here we go. There's a whole story that has circulated on the internet about Gabby Giffords' husband. What is his name? Mark Kelly?
Mark Kelly, yep.
Buying an AR-15.
AR-15, yep.
Yep, just in the last few days. Okay. And, he went out and he bought an AR-15. Do you know why he did it?
Go ahead.
So he could to turn it over to the Tucson Police Department.
Yes. Why, Leo?
Just to show how easy it was to buy a gun, to pass a background check, and how quickly you could pick up this deadly automatic weapon.
Did he buy it from Walmart?
It was fantastic what he did. He showed the hypocrisy of the whole thing. That the NRA saying, there's checks and balances on it. No, there aren't.
Well,
he showed him.
Okay, so let's go back to the Sanders Amendment.
Okay,
I don't even know how corporations are people. How this concept even one get created, two actually got accepted by certain people. I mean, so ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous thing. It's such a ridiculous thing.
It's a series of decisions by the Supreme Court that over the last 100 or so years, a little over 100 years, they've been working to give themselves more and more power, and that's what this eventually led to. And they can't say, corporations are this, we just give all the rights to corporations. We do this, them. No. They said no. They're people because they don't have a body. So we're giving them personhood, and because they don't have a body, they don't have physical voices, they have money, so money is now speech. And of course it was accepted because Scalia, who is the devil, I can't say that enough, and the other wackadoodles on the court, this is what they believe in. It's people like you and me, quite honestly mean very little to them. But these corporations that they believe that, that this is really the way forward. I think in their minds they actually think that this eventually, they go, well, it looks bad now. A lot of bad things are happening now. And they're we're spending $7 billion on an election. They go, I think in their minds that deep down they really honestly believe this stuff. I think they're true believers. They really think that this is going to be better for everybody. And they're going to wait until everything turns out bad. America collapses, and then they're going to go, oh, well, I guess I was wrong. I owe you a Coke. It's a gentleman's bet, whatever.
That's just.
They'll be retired. They won't care.
No, they'll be dead.
That's this whole thing just freaking crazy.
Yeah.
The whole corporation, Citizens United thing, just
all right.
Crazy.
So, Sanders.senate.gov. Please go sign the petition. Bernie Sanders. We could use 99 more just like him.
Yes.
So we were talking about new blood for the Senate.
New blood.
You know what? Guess what? Recently was the hottest news on this is what, Melvin?
Well, there's been speculation for some time about whether or not Ashley Judd was going to challenge
Mitch McConnell.
Mr. McConnell, I forgot his name, for his seat. And so recently, and of course she hasn't announced yet, but close associates say that she is planning on running. And she plans to announce her intentions in early May, right around the time the Kentucky Derby brings a lot of attention to Kentucky. When reached by comments, she wouldn't give an ironclad yes or no. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a thing. And Mitch McConnell and the Republicans have been running they started running ads against her months ago when it was merely rumored, and they can afford to run ads against rumors because they have that much money.
Well,
and they started running
United.
And so their largest argument right now is she is a liberal Hollywood elite, and we saw her boobies in a movie.
Yes, we saw her boobies.
So she can't be she can't be the senator from Kentucky because we saw her boobies in a movie.
Well, you can expect all kinds of crazy accusations,
the negativity is going to come out, and it's going to be out there in force.
Yeah, she's not a Kentucky
She's not your typical Kentucky. She doesn't look like that.
No, they're saying she's not a citizen,
She
right?
doesn't. No. Well, I don't think they can say that.
She's one of the Judds. She's one of the Judds. They can't do that.
They're
The Judds are all
trying to
American.
make a case that she's not really a citizen of Kentucky.
Yeah, but they're going to challenge her residency.
Yes,
that's at the very
because she
least.
lives in Hollywood or whatever.
Right.
You know what? I didn't see her boobs, and you know what? I'm getting sick of seeing Mitch McConnell's ass every day.
Well, his little turtle neck. That's what I'm.
Right. So now I read something interesting today. It's there is some hint that some Democrats are going to maybe not too happy about this Ashley Judd possibility too, because they are conservative Democrats. They are Democrats. They are kind of on, at least their constituents. I have trouble saying that word.
Constituents.
I can't
it's
say
a tough
that
one.
So there are some of the states like West Virginia or Georgia, they could be Ashley Judd could mean trouble for them. So somebody is already warning that that white Democrats shouldn't be sabotaging the Ashley Judd possibility, which I agree.
Give me a break. We have Michelle Bachmann, for God's sake, in Congress.
But I hope if she wants to run, I hope she does it. She announced as soon as possible, because there's a lot of work to do.
There's a big organization that's got to be built. A lot of Democrats aren't too thrilled because there's they have a Secretary of State, Allison Lundgren Grimes.
Right.
She's very popular in the state, and they're thinking that she might actually be a better candidate to knock off McConnell.
Right. This stench and the connotation of the Hollywood elite actually is a very powerful thing in politics. And in some states that's a plus, but I guess in a place like Kentucky that could be a serious minus. But
Ashley Judd needs to listen to those blue dog Democrats, and she needs to not run, because we don't like her kind in the United States. We don't need her kind in the United States Senate.
Right.
Okay, if I can go back a few years, when we had an actor who was president of the United States after being governor of California,
Ronald Reagan.
And the president of the Screen Actors Guild.
Yes, he was. Okay, and here's the funny part for me. There was a political cartoon that came out when he was running for re-election that said, okay, if we must have an actor in the White House, could we at least have a good actor? And so it was suggesting that Paul Newman run.
Well, yeah, Fred Thompson. Remember Fred Thompson?
Yes.
Fred
was a senator.
Fred Thompson, feel the excitement.
Come on. Who is the guy that was the wrestler? Who's the wrestler?
Jesse Ventura.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, but Jesse.
And then we have Arnold. Arnold was governor.
Minnesota, and you know who comes from Minnesota?
Al Franken.
Yeah.
No.
Michelle Bachmann.
Badass Crazy.
Oh, Michelle Bachmann.
And Marcus Bachman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who
Well,
cannot be straighter.
Apparently not a state where they really have negative connotations of Hollywood folks.
Right.
Apparently
Well,
not.
I mean, technically, is Jesse Ventura really Hollywood? I mean, he really Hollywood?
Well, is he wrestling?
Or is he just like...
And Jesse Ventura is really much more middle of the road. I mean, I hear him a lot in interviews, and I've heard him even on Tom Harmon.
He's not completely crazy.
No, he's not. He's not completely crazy, but he's not completely left or completely right either. He really has this position. He just says what's on his mind.
Right. Jesse Ventura is actually a true libertarian. He's not a Rand Paul or a Ron Paul libertarian. Yes.
Oh, he's a real libertarian.
Rand is a libertarian.
Right. Well, that's up for debate. Then people would claim, actually Rand Paul and Ron Paul, they are true libertarian because they're all in that deep end.
But they're all asking for government help.
There's a big difference.
Yeah, there is.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's keep our eyes open on this one. I hope she runs. I hope she announces as soon as possible because there's a lot of work to do.
I have already started following her Facebook page. The Facebook page that's pushing her to run. I suggest everyone follow it. It's pretty interesting.
Well, you know what? I think it's okay to say you have been following her for years and years. That's fine. That's fine.
Now I am.
Okay. Well, I
don't even think I've seen her movies.
I have been following, not really following, but I have known her since guest starring on Star Trek: The Next Generation, just a couple of episodes, right? So, and I'm a Star Trek guy, of course.
Oh, okay. See, that's where you see it.
Right. Okay. So.
Make it so, Kevin.
Okay. So, tea, Earl Grey hot. So let's move on to, all our regular topics are out of the way. Man, it's already like 72 minutes of the show. So let's go to dishonorable mentions.
Dishonorable mentions. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and go first.
Go ahead.
James O'Keefe, the right-wing political operative made famous by masquerading as an investigative journalist while producing bogus videos, has agreed to pay Acorn $100,000.
That's it.
In a suit. Well, now I don't think he has $100,000. Okay, now obviously what he did was him and a girl, he dressed in a really cheesy pimp outfit.
I think it's girlfriend at the time.
Yeah, and then she dressed in something skimpy, and they went into the office, covered up. And then he sat down with somebody from Acorn, and they shed those clothes and, kicked, and the video's rolling the whole time. And so he's wearing this pimp outfit, and she's wearing this skimpy outfit, and can you help me with my hoe here, right? And then he goes back to Fox with the selectively edited video, right? And I don't know if you've seen the pictures of him and the pimp. This is really corny. It's not even cool like Huggy Bear.
Now let me stop you there
it's
because
really cheesy.
Right, let me stop you there first because not that I want to quote other talk show hosts often, but Mike Malloy the other night says, and I agree with him. There's a layer of racism here because. The way he dressed, the way his girlfriend dressed, that's white America's idea.
View.
Of
exactly.
what an African American pimp and a prostitute is. So there's a layer of racism here that not a lot of people are talking about. But I'm sorry, I just want to bring that up.
Well, no, and that's a great point because I wasn't even going to make that, but I didn't think of it, but that's a really good point. So he takes this video to the internet, this selectively edited video, just like those folks over at Breitbart like to do all the time. Yeah. And he takes it to Fox. He goes on Hannity. They run the hell out of it because this is the kind of thing that they do. Congress is just itching to defund Acorn because they know that Acorn registered thousands upon thousands of brown-skinned people who turned out to vote for Barack Obama, and they go, you know what? Now they've stolen the election and they're helping pimps and hoes. And so they defund them. And just to put a finer point on it, now Acorn has been gone for years now because they defunded them. Right. Congress, in one of their
House of Representatives
this year.
Yes.
Defunded them again. They're gone.
They're not even there.
And they go, you know what? We're going to defund them.
The House budget that was just presented before Ryan came out with the same old song that he's had before.
Right.
It's crazy.
I think it's hilarious.
My DM,
absolutely hilarious.
Quite honestly, quite obviously, James O'Keefe, who's now $100,000 in debt, and everyone sees him as a liar. I don't know if you guys have treated yourself to the pictures of him when he's sitting in court. Yeah, not such a pimp now, are you? No, he looks sad in his court pictures. Like, holy crap, I really just want to get on Fox for a few minutes and sit next to, Sean Hannity and, have everyone's admiration, and now he's 100,000 deep, You know
what, this O'Keefe guy, if I walk into a hot dog place and then he serves me a veggie dog, and then I ask him if he actually cooked that veggie dog in the same water as regular hot dogs, and he says no, I would not believe him.
No.
I would not believe him.
I would not believe. In fact, it was a veggie dog, Kevin.
I don't even believe his name is James O'Keefe. All right,
I don't either.
On to the next one.
Leo, you want to go?
Well, I'm actually going to take a long time here because I'm going to dishonorably mention 8 different people.
Go ahead.
Oh, I love it, Leo. Go for it.
What do Jeff Flake, Ted Cruz, Michael S. Lee, John Cornyn, Lindsey Graham, Jeff Sessions, Orrin Hatch, and Chuck Grassley all have in common. They have a couple things.
They're all white men.
They're all going to be in CPAC.
They will be there, I'm sure. They're all members of the House Judiciary Committee. The House Judiciary Committee the other day approved a bill, I believe it's called the Sensible Gun Owners Act, Control Act, that was sponsored by Chuck Schumer.
Right.
And it's a bill that basically requires all gun sales, whether they're through registered dealers. Registered dealers are the only ones now who are required to do background checks, but it requires all private and unlicensed gun sales to undergo background checks. All 8 of those Republicans on the committee voted against it.
Nice.
So those are my dishonorable mentions. And this is in spite of the fact that, depending on which poll you believe, anywhere between 80 and 91% of Americans agree with stricter gun control or background checks in selling guns. And interestingly enough, I just found this today, gun retailers support harsher penalties on gun traffickers than some congressional Republicans. 88% of registered gun dealers actually recommend a specific sentence for an individual convicted of buying 50 firearms for trafficking operations. And they also, the same percentage, also supports expanded background checks on private and non-registered gun sales. So how can possibly the Republicans still be against this, knowing that not only up to 91% of their constituents, including over 70% of Republicans, also support the expanded gun or background checks. Another interesting thing I found today was that U.S. gun deaths by the year 2015 will outnumber the number of traffic deaths in this country.
Holy cow.
As of 2010, which is the last year where they have actual statistics, there are, 1,213 fewer gun deaths in this country than there were traffic accidents. So you tell me that we don't need a little bit more oversight on who's picking those guns up.
The numbers, there's other numbers that came out on this week that show that despite the fact that gun sales have gone through the roof, more households are not owning guns. It's really just like the same people that are just buying way. It's the same people just buying guns over and over and over and over and over.
And they're doing it to such a point that now there's also a shortage on ammunition in many cities across this country.
I think part of that is planned. Just to freak people out. Look what the black guy's doing.
Could be. I mean,
all right.
Could I just say the Washington legislature is also having trouble getting a bill through to have background checks.
Yeah, they got it out of committee, but they can't get it out of the Senate. Jamie has been going, making personal calls on people trying to get it out, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen before the session expires.
We have Matt Shea in there.
It's simple deduction, right? If these senators are voting against logic, against common sense, and against the view of the majority in their districts or in their party, well, something else is at work here, right? They're listening to some other forces, as in the people who has the money. So,
the only thing we can hope is that the people who are voting against this, voting against between 80 and 90% of their constituents, actually remember this come ballot box time.
Yes.
Chances are they won't. They
just have to say.
Unfortunately, they just have folks like us who have to remind them.
They just have to say a couple of buzzwords like abortion and
and
gays.
Guns, gays, God. Look at the black guy.
Look at that shiny object. Time for bait and switch.
Yeah, look at that. Or here comes 2016. Look at those two women.
Well, even that's going by the wayside because so many states are now passing same-sex marriage laws. That used to be their rallying cry. It's a states' rights issue. Well, that's proving them wrong too, because the states are passing them now.
Right. Times are moving ahead with or without certain people.
Times they are changing.
Okay, so
on to the next one.
So Angela, you want to go?
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I have to set this up because I am someone who frequents the Rachel Maddow Show Facebook page, and we have trolls. Kevin, you brought this up a few weeks ago. Trolls.
Yeah, I got a few on too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And on the Rachel Maddow Show Facebook page, there happens to be a troll who has a lot of accounts. And I can tell that it's the same person over and over again because I'm somebody who works with words and writing, and I can recognize syntax, but I can also recognize idiosyncrasies in someone's writing. So they spell the same words wrong, despite what name they're using. And there are some
you teach English, right? I don't understand how people can, you are, they say your.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people can do that.
The your thing kills me. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
There's a whole thing. Okay, but then they use filler phrases like, okay, we use words like let alone. You know how you use that phrase?
Yeah.
This is wrong, let alone that. Yeah. And we use, okay, here's an example. Case in point. This person always uses the words yet alone for let alone.
What?
And case and point. And time again, it points out that this person is the same troll. Okay. That troll this week went to a site called Daily Current. Daily Current is a satirical site, much like The Onion. And here's the story that he read. And this story that he read was that Paul Krugman has filed bankruptcy.
Oh, right.
Completely bogus.
Yeah.
Completely bogus satirical story.
Right.
Now, this troll is not the only one who picked it up. But the funny part was that he picked it up and a couple of us on the Facebook page went, dude, that's satire. And he's trying to defend his fact, and we're going, no, it's satire. Right. And laughing. But guess who picked it up? And
Breitbart.
Yeah,
Breitbart.
And I have to tell you, I have given them a new name. Not so bright barf.
There you go.
Like
or bright barf.
Yeah,
I heard something great about this. Krugman, who I read his article all the time and just love.
Oh, I love
he saw the article and said nothing about it and goes, I wonder which right-wing troll site is going to pick it up first.
They got it.
And then just sat back and watched the fireworks. I love Krugman.
Yes.
Freaking,
there's my DM, guys.
Freaking genius.
Awesome. Good. On to the
Freaking
next one.
genius.
That's a good one, Angela.
Okay, Angela, is that my turn?
It's your turn, Kevin. You're
Okay,
up.
I'm gonna. This is gonna be dishonorable mention for a lot of people, and I don't know how many people there are, but a lot of people. Okay, so I want to dishonorable mention the pig farmers in China, who keep dumping dead pigs into the river that goes out to Shanghai. So what happened is they're still trying to find out what happened. But if you go to CNN World or your local news is not gonna, KXLY is not gonna talk about this, okay?
Right.
But if you go to Al Jazeera English, it's gonna be right there. Thousands and thousands of dead pigs got washed down the river to places near Shanghai. They're still doing tests on what the heck is going on. The best case scenario is there's an outbreak of virus. The worst case, now there's a worst case scenario. That's actually the best
Worse
case scenario.
than an outbreak of a virus.
Yes. The worst case scenario is there's some kind of chemical contamination.
Ew.
Now, if that happens, so the dead pigs are in. First of all, I'm a vegetarian, so the whole thing is sounds really awful to me because so many animals just died like that, right?
Right.
But if even the viral thing, well, then something they need to make sure that doesn't get spread. And I heard that the possibility of a viral attack is not going to attack humans. So this is not going to bother the disease itself. If indeed this is true, the disease itself is not going to spread to humans, right? But still, then you have other animals to worry about, you know. But if it is a chemical contamination, well, these dead pigs has been in water for a few days. This chemical is all over the water. And, you know, in big cities like Shanghai, they treat the water before you use it, right? But in smaller towns, smaller villages along the river, that's not the case. They just take the water or from whale, by the river. So if deadly chemicals seep into the water table, it's going to be big trouble. So I just wanted Dishonorable, man. I don't know what I can do from here.
Well, you know what? It's not just the chemical. There's also the fact that there are decaying animals in the water. I saw these pictures, and they're obviously incredibly disgusting.
Right. It's bad. It's bad. Well, you know what? Well, this is kind of a bigger issue here, because China right now, it's a really unusual and really awful situation, as in there are multiple things going on. But, you know, if some of these libertarians in the U.S. Think libertarianism is such a great idea, they should take a trip to China. Because now they can argue that, well, it's a communist country. Well, on paper, yes, but in reality, not so much. When the floodgate opens, capitalism just went in and took over. So now they do execute a lot of people. So they do. Well, that's you don't understand. There are two different things going on here. On one hand, it's totally out of hand capitalism. People just do whatever the hell they want. You know, they have like poison food, they have fake food all over the place. Right. But on the other hand, the government is really tough on dissidents, really tough on people who is talking crap about the government. Right? So
to the point where their surveillance is
right.
Abysmal. It's horrible.
But see, the China situation is really weird, because both of these things are going on. People, the government has a lot of control on one hand and has no control at all on the other hand, and both of these situations are going on. So if libertarians are so serious about their idea is so great, go to China and check it out. Because that's what happens. There's no a lot of places there are regulations, but they're not being enforced at all. So that's what you get. That's a situation you have. People just, hey, it's convenient to me, so I just dump that dead pig onto the river without worrying, okay, what would happen like 6 days later. So
I should set up a libertarian travel agency, and I say, where would you like to go today? I hear Somalia has lots of guns and no government.
Somalia, certain towns.
Or how about China? I hear they have dead pigs in the water. Right. Now look, this is all right up your alley, Mr. Libertarian. Now where could I book your flight or your boat to?
Food inspection, there is very lacking in China. Environmental protection, very lacking in China. The most polluted city in the world is in China.
Lots and lots of smog. All no government, though. That's very important. I know you like that.
Beijing, the air is so bad. It's like 10 times the world standard of, So anyway.
All right.
Enough.
All right.
Yeah.
So. That's a good one, Kevin. Hey.
That's
Angela, did that troll ever use the word irregardless?
Yes.
These people make me nuts.
Yes.
All right. Let's finish the show.
All right.
It was a very exciting week in science. There were tons of stories that came out this week. There were quite a few about AIDS. Those made the rounds pretty good, so I didn't cover those, but you can look those up. But what I do want to cover tonight is two things: teeth and salt. Okay. Now we've known for years that salt is bad for you. No, it just is. It leads to all kinds of health problems. High blood pressure amongst them. But what they're finding out now about salt is it actually leads to autoimmune diseases. Let's see. For decades, doctors have been asking us to, telling us cut back on salt because of, they say, heart attack or stroke. But now they're saying that it can lead to multiple sclerosis and inflammatory bowel disease and things of the like. Well, and here now I cut back. I went on a diet probably 8 or 9 months ago and dramatically cut back on one of the things I did was salt. Here's the easiest way to cut salt out of your diet. Fresh fruits and vegetables. I went to a lot of those, and don't add salt. Salt is everywhere because it's the cheapest, fastest way to season food, and salt is just, we seem to have an endless supply of it. Right. Where they found more autoimmune diseases showing up is obviously where people are disadvantaged, where people are poor, because they eat a lot of fast food. And fast food is pretty much just salt. Like there's nothing else. Well, maybe there's bread. Maybe what they put in burgers is meat. I don't know. But it's, for the most part, it's just salt. So not that you needed another reason to cut out salt, but here's one. It leads to autoimmune diseases. Let's try to get the salt out of our diet, folks. Here's another good rule. If food can go bad, those are fresh fruits and vegetables, then that means it's good for you. If your food cannot go bad, like if you buy a Happy Meal and it still looks the same in a year, someone did that. I thought a couple of years ago, and I go, it still looks the same as it did when it came out of the restaurant. Right. Then that means it's bad for you. And it's probably being preserved because of salt. Back before we used to, have wars over oil. But back before we used to have wars for oil, we used to have wars over salt because we didn't have refrigerators. And salt is the best way to preserve food. Right. All right, I want to move on to my next story, and then we'll finish up. When an adult loses a tooth, obviously there's no hope of growing a new one. That is, unless you have a mouse kidney handy. In a new study, researchers injected human gum tissue extracted during oral surgery to the molars of fetal mice. After giving the cells a week to get used to each other, the scientists implanted the chimera concoction into the protective tissue surrounding the kidneys of living mice. There, 20% of the cells developed into objects recognizable as teeth, complete with root structures that were missing from which are generally missing from artificial tooth implants. Obviously, the next step is bioteeth. They're saying eventually we'll be able to get rid of dentures and help people grow their own teeth back.
What?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, they're only growing them on mice kidneys right now. Nobody wants to put that in their mouth. But we made another step. I mean, it's another step. They say, eventually, say the next 50 years or so, we could see dentures go by the wayside. When someone loses a tooth, they won't have to go get those implants where they screw them into your jaw. Yeah. We'll actually help them be able to grow their own teeth back.
Right.
Cool. I think that's, an exciting week in science. And thank you for joining me for Melvin Science.
Awesome.
Well, all I can say is, we can finally help people grow teeth.
Yes.
But at the same time, Skype is breaking up. So what's good? What's good about anything?
Oh,
that was a joke.
That's as good.
Is it really?
Well, so anyway. Well, has been a lot of fun. An hour and 35 minutes actually already. So
another good week. Hey now.
This is really good. A lot to keep an eye on, and I think seriously, the Pope thing is going to be very interesting in the next month to see what's going to happen, or any within the Catholic Church. What kind of movement it will happen within the Catholic Church.
It's going to take a lot longer than that.
Oh.
Yes.
For anything to develop.
All right.
Okay. Being a Catholic, I can assure you of that.
Okay. So,
all right, everybody, don't
Catholic, Leo. I'm sorry.
Don't forget to join us next week where I will be talking even louder.
Yeah. Don't do that. So, well, hey, thanks again, Leo, for being here with us.
Thanks, Leo.
Thank you, Leo.
And
many more. Okay. So I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.